President Trump's Opioid Commission is meeting behind closed doors, turning their attention to health insurance plans and examining the role they might be playing in addictions to painkiller prescriptions. President Trump blindsided his advisors in an off-script statement earlier this week, announcing opioids will be declared a national emergency next week. They're now scrambling to produce that emergency declaration. It is unclear when, how, or if it will be announced. Dr. Anita Gupta is the former co-chair of the American Society of Anesthesiologists, Opioid Abuse Task Force. Wow, you have a long title, but I'm so glad you're here because we really need to talk about this this crisis.
Yes.
So,
yes,
do you think a national emergency will be declared by the president next week?
We sure hope so. I mean, as you know, the opioid crisis is really hitting a lot of Americans, and President Trump really needs to declare this as an emergency. According to the CDC, 500,000 Americans, have been dying from opioid overdoses, and, it's really a crisis. And, we really need to discuss this. 91 individuals every day are overdosing, according to the CDC, as latest reports. And, this is something that's hitting every American. And really, as a physician, this is something that we know is something that needs to be addressed urgently. There's an economic issue, there's a personal issue in families, and generations of Americans are being lost by this crisis.
So the president says it's very difficult to institute a national emergency. Do you know what steps need to be taken?
Look, this is a multi-dimensional issue, and in order to address this issue, so many levels of transformation need to occur. And I think the number one issue is that we need to destigmatize the opioid issue and addiction issue, number one. So many people feel stigmatized by this issue, and that's the first thing. But from a congressional issue and a presidential issue, I think there needs to be an economic drive. I think there needs to be funding that needs to be put forward. Number one. Number two, there needs to be leadership on the issue. Clearly, there's a political issue that's occurring, and this really needs to be a bipartisan, a bipartisan problem. It doesn't need to be a political problem. And there's a lot of gridlock.
Everybody seems to be on board, but what seems to be happening right now is each state is coming up with its own solutions. Not only each state,
Correct.
but many local municipalities are coming up with their own solutions. So there's no one thing that is being done, on a national level. Is that a problem?
Well, and Senator Portman from Ohio has been a spearhead on the issue, and that's been one of the great hallmarks of his work, and that's leading the issue. So the people that are working on the state level are really driving a lot of the things, and that will be some of the hallmarks that drive the nation forward. And many of those people will drive the many other states forward and hopefully lead on the issue throughout the country. But, it isn't a problem. It will hopefully be some of the spearheads and things that will lead the nation to the direction of the solution. We need those states to create small solutions to lead to a national solution. But we do need a national solution. We do need those states to continue. We do need them to continue.
Well, let me ask you this question about drug enforcement and the DEA. Do you think enough arrests are being made of the right people to stop this crisis from growing?
Yeah, well, look, there is not one person that we can blame. I mean, if we blame just one individual or, the DEA or the FDA or the industry or patients or doctors, then we're doing the wrong thing. I think ultimately there's so many stakeholders here to blame, and I think, we can't point fingers. We need to find solutions, and I think ultimately that will get us to a place to get these patients better. Ultimately, patients are suffering, people are dying, and I think getting there is really what we need to focus on now.
Dr. Anita Gupta, thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.